Hey guys, Travis with Everglades. Today we're going to take a look at the brand new John Deere 335P. So obviously we're all familiar with the 333G and the legacy of power and performance that machine had. It was a 100 horsepower machine, awesome machine, legendary performance. And obviously we've all heard the hype regarding the 335P. Now what's so great about it? So check it out. Really all the P series, the 331P, the 333P, and the 335P they all got increased horsepower and increased performance. This machine, I really like to do comparison videos because they're interesting and because y'all like to watch them, but there really is no comparison to this 335 on the market currently. So check it out. This thing's got 118 horsepower. Now, here's the other thing that's special about it. The 333P, the step below this in the John Deere product lineup, has 3,500 PSI of auxiliary flow, right? This guy has 4,000. So what does that mean? It means you got a lot more power going to your hydraulic implements. So things that would matter on, that's gonna be things like your mulching heads, your coal planters, things like that. It's gonna be things that you want a lot of hydraulic force going into, and this guy is able to deliver it. So if you're really serious about running, mulching heads that you really want some production out of, this is gonna be your guy right here. All right, so let's go into some of the other changes on this thing. All right, so one of the biggest changes to the P series in general is the front end is redesigned. So these machines are very strong machines with a lot of lifting and pushing power. And now the front end, the quick attach, has been redesigned to be a lot beefier to be able to withstand that amount of force that this machine is capable of creating. So what do I mean by that? So check it out. These pins down here, if you look at them, even if you know nothing about equipment, you could say, hey, that is a lot bigger pin than what was on the G series. So what you get is a lot more durability out of your front end. Also, speaking of the front end, if you look at the way your tilt cylinders are designed, the way the door is designed, you can have the loader a good distance off the ground and still be able to open the door and get out of the cab, which that's really nice if you've got like a load on your forks or something else and you just want the flat, or if you're parked on a weird spot and you want to have the bucket up a little bit, well, now you can open the door and get out of the cab easily. So probably one of the most exciting things about the new P series is the redesigned cab. So what's redesigned about it? Well, it's all one piece and it's pressurized. So what do I mean by that? So check it out. So on the G series, you used to have, remember how you could tilt the cab, but the footwell would stay with the machine? Well, now whenever you tilt the cab, the whole cab comes up. So this is all one piece, so it does seal and it's pressurized a lot better. Now, really everything in here is redesigned. So let's start at the joysticks, right? So these are adjustable now. So you can move your joysticks to exactly how you want them to be when you're operating. The joysticks are also redesigned. The buttons are now labeled. So you've got your horn button, which is nicely labeled. It works. You got your creep button labeled. Your auxiliaries are all labeled. Really nice. And they kind of made them, in my opinion, a little bit more ergonomic. They just feel, they're a little bit, it's hard to explain, but if you sit in one and play with them, you'll see what I'm talking about. So they did that. They still have that great AC system that was on the G series. You got air vents all the way around you, which is nice. Now, here's the really exciting thing, is the seat that I'm sitting in is a ventilated and heated seat. So before we did have heated seats, oh, and of course it's air suspension as well. But it's ventilated and heated. So it's nice on there, especially down here in Florida when it gets really hot. And if you're in this thing all day, it's nice to just feel the cool breeze. Of course, your Bluetooth radio, but now we've got two color screens here. Your screen over on your right-hand side, you can see your fuel status, your DEF status, your hydraulic temperature, your engine temperature. You can also see really whatever you want to through here. You can even see like your slope percentage. If you want to see that, you can go through here and adjust you can take Bluetooth phone calls off your phone. I got a microphone here for you. Now on this side, on the 333 and 335, we order them standard with the surround view camera system. So this is just like you would find in a premium truck or SUV these days. You can see basically a 270-degree camera view around the machine, which is really nice. You've got multiple settings for that. You can see just behind you, you can see around you, you can set it up however you want, but it's a really nice feature they added here for extra visibility, which they did improve the visibility just on its own. Like if you look at like how you can see the tracks over at your side windows, the back window got a little bit easier to see out of as well. Really, visibility was improved a lot on the P-Series machines. So another thing they did on the P-Series is if you've ever been in like a John Deere crawler dozer, a big wheel loader, a dump truck, like I'm talking about like a big piece of construction equipment, the John Deere calls this the SSM, the sealed switch module. So the one they put in the P-Series is very similar to what they put in the big construction equipment, like your crawler, dozers, loaders, things like that. All of your controls are all going to be right here. And what's nice too is that at a glance, if you forget what one of these buttons do, you have a chart above you that gives you a cheat sheet and it tells you what they all do. So like for example, I've got my ventilated seat control here. I have my self-leveling bucket here. I've got my reversing fan here. I can adjust my joystick sensitivity here. I can take the bucket on and off, so the controls are all just in one place. You don't have to like hunt all over the cab. There's not a million toggle switches here and there. You just got all your controls right here in one spot. So of course on the 335P and the rest of the P-Series, they keep that same easy serviceability that you're gonna find on all John Deere skid steers. So check it out. So one thing, if you own a John Deere skid steer that you might notice is the battery and the depth tank are now flipped. So they're on different sides. Why do they do that? Well, there's two reasons. Number one, the fuel tank and the depth tank both got larger. So now your fuel capacity and your diesel exhaust fluid capacity are both increased. The second reason is it was to make room for something. What did they make room for? So if you look at the back of this machine compared to a G-Series, you'll notice it's shaped differently. And what they did is they increased the cooling capacity of this machine significantly. All of the P-Series got improvements in their cooling capacity, so they cool a heck of a lot better. So what does this mean for you? Well, if you're doing high demanding applications, you know, you're pushing a lot of dirt, you're running a mulching head, you're running a coal planter, things like that, the machine's gonna be able to keep itself cool. With all that extra power, there's gonna come some heat, and you gotta be able to get rid of that heat. This machine successfully does that with the cooling system they put on it. Daily maintenance checks are still really easy on the P-Series. You know, you got your engine oil here, like on all John Deere's, color-coded yellow. Engine oil fill here, yellow. Hydraulic tank, orange. Diesel fuel, green. Depth tank, blue. Like the G-Series, the P also has a hydraulically driven fan that is reversible. So inside the cab, you can hit a button, manually reverse the fan if you want. That blows your coolers out, cleans out debris. You can also preset it through the touchscreen to preset intervals, where it will do it, say, every 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, and it will automatically reverse and blow out the coolers to remove any debris and keep the machine running cool. I know there's a lot of new P-Series skid steers out there, 331P, 333P, 335P. So here's something that separates the 333P and the 335P from the 331P. The 331 is designed really to be a price point machine that checks a lot of boxes and is a very high performance machine. Once you step into your 333 and 335P, you go into that extra high performance. Now obviously it's going to cost a little bit more money, but what do you get for that money? So check it out. 333 and 335, this is huge, they have a PCOS hydraulic system. What does that mean? Pressure compensating load sensing hydraulic system, okay? They have that. Now right now you're scratching your head and you're saying, well Travis, what is that? And I'll tell you. So what it does basically is the hydraulic system senses what you're doing and it spins up the pump to match what you're doing. All right, so check it out. Now, say on like the 333G, it had like an open center hydraulic system. That's still what the 331P has. It's a great hydraulic system, but whenever you wind it up and you go full throttle and you start working, your pump also goes all the way up and your pump is working full tilt too, right? But on the PCOS system, pressure compensating load sensing, that system only works as hard as it needs to. So that does two things for you as an operator. Number one, it's significantly quieter inside the cab. So what do I mean by that? Well, think about it. The pump, like let's say you got the throttle up and you're just moving a little bit of dirt, you're not necessarily working this monster to its max potential. Well, the pump isn't gonna spin up to its full power. So it's gonna be quieter inside the cab and you're gonna burn less fuel. So basically, to sum it up, the 333P and 335P have a special hydraulic system. For lack of better terms, just call it a smart hydraulic system. So that smart hydraulic system, the PCOS system, only makes the hydraulic pump work as hard as it needs to, which is quieter and it saves you fuel. So you've probably noticed the auxiliary manifold right here looks a little bit different than it did on the G series and even the 333 and 331P. So if you notice, you have multiple auxiliary hydraulic connections here. So what's the purpose of that? Well, you've got 1/2 inch hydraulic couplers here, and you've got 3/4 inch hydraulic couplers here. That's your case drain. So let's run through this real quick. Obviously you have a supply and a return here, here, and your case drain. So if you're running something like, say, like a mulching head that requires a lot of flow and it's going to generate a lot of heat, it's a lot better to have a 3/4 inch auxiliary coupler for that fluid to flow through. Because think about it, if you're forcing a lot of hydraulic oil, because this thing's cranking out like 45 gallons a minute hydraulic flow, if you're cranking 45 gallons a minute through a 3/4 inch opening, you're going to have significantly less heat than if you're cranking 45 gallons a minute through a 1/2 inch coupling. Just think about it, because that hydraulic oil has a little bit bigger space to flow through. It's fluid dynamics and it's science and all that stuff. So the case drain, because a lot of people ask me like, well, Travis, what is that? What's it for? And if you have an attachment that, like let's say for example, like a rotary cutter, that's a good example. So if you have an attachment that's spinning and all of a sudden you hit a stump or something else and that attachment has a sudden stop and you have a pressure surge that goes back through the system, this allows it to go back into the tank. Think of it as like an exit ramp for your hydraulics. So if you have a sudden pressure spike, it just lets it go back into the tank instead of blowing something up. So that's what a case drain does. And of course, you have your supply and return for your 3/4 side, supply and return for your 1/2 inch side. So your 1/2 inch, you would run most things like your grapples, your brooms, most standard hydraulics. And to be realistic, most things you're gonna run are just gonna require the standard 1/2 inch couplers. But if you have like a mulching head, a big rotary cutter, or something that requires a lot of flow, you have the 3/4 inch couplers here to do it with. Now, another thing you'll notice is we have the electrical connections here. So what are these for? Well, that's gonna be if you have a broom, think of like a broom, there goes a John Deere right there. Have a broom, a coal planer, anything like that that requires extra electrical connections to make it function. Like for example, let's say a broom, you plug in that into here and it'll cause the broom to swing back and forth, whatever. You can manipulate the attachment through there. Hey guys, thanks for watching. So contact your local Everglades equipment dealer today. We got 18 locations throughout Central and South Florida, and we would be happy to tell you more about the P series and the entire John Deere product line. Thanks for watching.